Imagine it's 3 months from now. You're in America. You did what they told you to do. You bought the house. You financed the car. You got the degree. You paid the insurance. You built the normal middle-class life. And then the system starts choking. Oil stays high. Shipping gets uglier. Hiring freezes harder. Prices keep climbing. The war keeps blocking the artery. And all the things you were told were smart purchases start turning into dead weight. That's what people still don't understand about collapse. Collapse is not always one giant explosion. Sometimes it's quieter than that, meaner than that, more humiliating than that. The shelves are still there, the stores are still open, the bank app still works, your house is still standing, your car is still in the driveway, but the relationship between money and survival starts breaking. And once that happens, the middle class finds out something brutal. A lot of what looked like stability was really just a bet that the system would keep working. That's the story now. Not just inflation, not just bad policy, not just another rough patch. The system is under pressure. The artery is being blocked. Experts are openly warning that if this keeps going, we are not talking about some cute little recession anymore. And the sick joke is that for a lot of people, it already feels like one. Nobody's hiring. Everything costs more. The future feels frozen. And the things people spend years buying to feel secure are exactly the things that get hit first when the floor starts giving way. So let's talk about the top 5 purchases economic collapse makes worthless first. Not as theory, as autopsy. Number 5, lifestyle junk bought on credit. Let's start with the easiest trap. The clothes, the designer shoes, the electronics, the upgraded kitchen, the home decor, the buy now, pay later version of adulthood. In normal times, this stuff feels harmless. You're not being reckless. You're just trying to enjoy your life. Look put together. Feel like you're moving forward. But in collapse, that entire category changes shape fast. Because consumer lifestyle goods do not help you survive system stress. They do not feed you. They do not lower your bills. They do not create income. They do not protect you from inflation. They do not help when your hours get cut or your job disappears. And if you finance them, now it gets even uglier, because the object stops mattering, but the payment doesn't. That's the trap. In a choking economy, comfort becomes clutter, and clutter financed at interest becomes insult. Nobody in a real squeeze wants your designer shoes. Nobody in a collapsed economy is paying top dollar for your clothes haul. Nobody is rescuing you from bad purchases, because the resale market dries up when survival gets more important than style. That's why these things go first. They are the easiest to sell to you in good times, and the easiest to discover were useless once things turned. Number 4, the degree. Now this one makes people angry, good, because the way this was sold to people was borderline criminal. Get the degree, take the debt, trust the system. You'll be more employable, you'll be more secure, you'll have a future. That was the promise. But a degree is not magic. It's a credential. And a credential only has economic value if the labor market it was designed for still works. That's the part nobody says clearly enough. When hiring freezes, when whole sectors stall out, when employers stop taking chances, when businesses don't know what energy costs, shipping costs, and credit costs are going to look like next quarter, your degree does not protect you. It hangs on the wall while the job market ignores you. That doesn't mean learning is worthless. It means the paper was a bet that the system would still reward the path you were sold. And right now, people already see the truth. Employers are not hiring like they should. Workers are clinging to jobs because the future looks unstable. New job growth feels weak, and a lot of the so-called growth people keep bragging about is not broad-based security for normal workers anyway. So the degree becomes something darkly familiar in a collapsed economy. A very expensive symbol of a promise that no longer pays the way it was supposed to. Number 3, insurance, pensions, and long-term financial promises. This one is cruel because it punishes the most obedient people, the cautious people, the responsible people, the planners, the people who said, okay, I'll do the right thing, I'll think long-term, I'll be disciplined. And then the system reminds them what these products really are. Promises. That's all they are. Promises denominated in a currency system, political system, and institutional system that only hold up if the broader machine keeps functioning. If inflation rips through purchasing power, if the rules get changed, if the institutions weaken, if the government starts triaging crisis instead of honoring every promise cleanly, you find out very quickly that paper security is not the same thing as real security. That's what people learn too late. Your pension statement can still look fine while your cost of living is ripping your throat out. Your insurance policy can still exist while the world around it gets more expensive, more unstable, and more hostile. That's why collapse feels like betrayal. Because the people who trusted the system the deepest often get punished the hardest when the system stops behaving. They didn't lose because they were reckless. They lost because they believed the promise. Number 2, the new car on credit. This one hurts because it feels practical. A car is not some luxury fantasy. For a lot of Americans, it's survival. You need it to get to work, to buy food, to move your kids, to live in a country built around distance. And that is exactly why collapse turns it vicious. Because a car is not just a car. It's a machine that depends on fuel, parts, insurance, repairs, and a supply chain that keeps the whole thing running. Take a few of those away, or make them brutally expensive, and now your practical purchase becomes a liability. The loan is still there. The monthly payment is still there. The insurance bill is still there. But the usefulness starts shrinking. And in a war-stressed, oil-choked, inflation-heavy economy, that can happen fast. Fuel spikes. Repairs get uglier. Parts take longer. Insurance creeps higher. And suddenly the thing you finance to keep your life moving becomes another mouth to feed. That's worse, because now you're trapped with it. Number 1, real estate bought at the wrong point. This is the big one, because this is the deepest religion of the middle class. Your home is your greatest asset. People repeat that like it's physics. It isn't. It's a belief, and beliefs get murdered in collapse. The building is still there, the walls are still there, the roof is still there, but the financial world wrapped around that house starts breaking. Income weakens, buyers disappear, credit tightens, rates stay ugly, taxes rise, liquidity dies, and that asset starts looking a lot more like a trap. You can't sell it cleanly. You can't always leave it. You can't always pull value out of it. And if the broader economy is rolling over while one of the last fake growth engines is wobbling too, good luck pretending housing is still some sacred island of safety. That's the middle-class nightmare. The house doesn't save you. It anchors you in place while the value story around it rots. And if we really do move from recession risk into something darker, deeper contraction, broader credit stress, depression-level pressure, real estate stops looking like wealth and starts looking like expensive immobility. That's the thing people find out too late. A house is only your greatest asset in a system that can still support the fiction. Now, step back. Lifestyle junk, the degree, financial promises, the financed car, the house. What do these all have in common? They're not random. They're the checklist. The things you were told meant adulthood, responsibility, progress, safety, success. This is the architecture of the middle-class dream. And collapse doesn't just hurt those purchases by accident. It targets them structurally. Because every one of them is a bet on stability, a bet that the currency holds, a bet that institutions hold, a bet that energy remains affordable enough, a bet that jobs stay available, a bet that the broader system keeps functioning long enough for the purchase to deliver what it promised. And right now, those bets are getting uglier. That's why this matters now, not 5 years ago, now. Because the economy already feels frozen, hiring already feels dead, prices are already brutal. And if the artery stays blocked, if war pressure keeps feeding into energy and shipping, if the broader system keeps tightening, then these things don't just lose value, they become dead weight. That's the dread people are starting to feel. Not just things are expensive, more like, what if the things I spent years building my life around are exactly the things that will pin me down when this gets worse? That's the real fear, and it's not irrational. So no, this is not me telling you that buying a home is stupid, getting educated is stupid, or trying to build a decent life is stupid. That's not the lesson. The lesson is that a lot of the things people call security are only secure if the system around them stays stable. And right now, that stability looks a lot weaker than people want to admit. So this video is not really about shame. It's about pattern recognition. It's about knowing what collapse tends to punish first, so you can stop confusing price with safety. And if the obvious next question is, okay, then what actually survives? What keeps its usefulness? What still holds value when the system starts choking? That's the next video. Because once you see what turns into dead weight first, the next step is figuring out what doesn't.